Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's Facebook Live series on stubborn fat. So we're going to be talking about detox tonight. I'm excited to deliver this content, and we'll just wait for the lovely Lee-Ann to come on board. For those of you who haven't met me before, my name's Tarryn Thompson. I've been in the space for a little while now. This is coming up 8 years, and detox is one of those things that can be a little bit hairy. Let me bring... Hey, Lee-Ann. And I wanted to help you guys get real clear on some things about detox. And from Lee-Ann and I's perspective tonight, I think it's going to be a very nice, well-rounded one. So just while we Lee-Ann to come on in, you can see your connection.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Hey, Natasha. Good to have you on. All right, so Lee-Ann is a homeopath. She's got to be New Zealand's most loved homeopath.
I don't know.
And excellent in this space. And it's just great to have a real well-rounded perspective on topics like this, because when we look at how the body handles getting well, sometimes we don't, really know what that looks like, right, Lee-Ann? I mean,
Yeah.
I remember going through this learning phase of thinking that I know, and then being sure that I know, and then learning even more about what I didn't know, and just being amazed by the body every time.
Oh, yes, that's so true, because there's so many levels to us, and we're so complex, and we're, Western medicine takes each system and looks at it all very differently. You go to the eye specialist, and you go to the intestinal, the colon specialist. Alternative medicine tends to look at a much more holistic picture, and you begin to get the understanding of how complex everything works in, including the emotional and mental.
That's right. And that's actually one of the things I love about how homeopathy supports things like detoxification, because homeopathy doesn't try to understand how the body works. It just looks at how can we support the body, because it already knows what to do. And so tonight, guys, for those of you who are tuning in live, and for those of you who are going to tune in on the replay, look, detox is one of those subjects that can get a little bit complicated, because we hear so much about it, especially if we have set goals like we want to lose weight and we want to get healthy. And so, of course, when we think detox, we want to get clean on the inside. And sometimes just not really understanding what detox looks like, and how a lot of the time it's not always, that pretty picture of just, the benefits of getting healthy and the benefits of losing weight. Sometimes detox can look a little uncomfortable. So by the end of this, Facebook Live with Lee-Ann and I, our intention is to have you have much more clarity around what detox actually looks like, and how you can support your body through that process of losing weight and just really getting on top of your health and feeling just bloody damn fantastic, actually. So we're going to talk about these 4 things tonight. Lee-Ann and I are going to cover what is detox, what you can expect when you detox, what we recommend when detoxing, and how to support detoxification. So first of all, let's go through and cover what is detoxification. So, when we look at the organ that does that real heavy lifting of detox, it's the liver, right? So when I learned about the liver and how much of the heavy lifting it does, it was when I started to narrow my focus and look at hormone health, and how hormones and an imbalance of them can really just have can cause quite a complexity to trying to lose weight by traditional means, right? And so the means that we see being advertised and being promoted through the weight loss industry. So when we look at what the liver actually does, what detox is in its simplest form, the liver converts things that need to be excreted or used into a form that can be used or excreted. Okay, so we really have to make sure that the liver is getting a lot of support to be able to do that. What you may not realize when you are detoxing is that, or when you are losing weight, or your intention is to lose weight, is that toxins and old hormones, and sometimes bacteria, old viruses, and a bunch of other waste is stored in your fat cell. And so your fat cell literally or the excess fat you have on your body kind of becomes a like a storage unit for waste that has not been able to be dealt with in the past. And then when you decide that you're ready to lose weight and you want to go down that road, what you don't realize is that you start the detoxification process but on steroids, right? Like you make that go faster because you open up the fat cells and you re-release all of that is stored in there into your bloodstream, which then beelines it to the liver. So, you know, one of the key things to understand about weight loss is when you are allowing your body access into your fat stores, you are speeding that whole detoxification process up. So, Lee-Ann, from your perspective, because you see this all the time,
all the time.
What can you expect when what can a person expect when they are detoxing?
Okay, so lots of symptoms can come up when people are detoxing, and it depends what we're detoxing. You covered quite a few different things, and so it depends where you see the symptoms is depending on what you're detoxing. But as you say, it makes a beeline to the liver. If the liver is actually not congested and is able to detox and is receiving that right nutrition so it can function, then it will sort it out so it can be eliminated through the other elimination channels. And if any one of those elimination channels are also congested or not working, you're going to get back up. Or you might not. You might actually get what you think is congestion, but actually it's really good congestion. For instance, we don't think of the lungs as an elimination channel. Right? So of course it is. You know, when you go and do yoga, you're breathing in, you're breathing out, and we do release toxins that way. And of course, so when it gets a little bit congested, it's a bit weak, or it is trying to remove rubbish, you'll get a little bit of mucus coming up. So that could be anywhere in the respiratory pathways, right? Might be that, for instance, when I start to get the thyroid functioning better with remedies, very often they'll come up with a cough or a bit of mucus in their throat, or old sore throat symptoms. And that's actually a sign that the disease or the toxin is coming out of the thyroid and it's improving its function. Now we go back to that old disease that you might have had previously.
Right.
But there's lots of other symptoms, right?
Yeah, sometimes when we see that an old symptom shows up, we don't necessarily recognize it as that. But one of the key things that was like a light bulb moment in my head was that I learned that the body detoxes in layers. Okay, and so when you start to do a cleanse, or you start to significantly improve your level of nutrition, all of a sudden the body goes, oh, okay, now there's vitality. Now we can start to maybe deal with something that we couldn't deal before. So that's when your body can start to throw up a symptom. And so one of those, as Lee-Ann said, might be that you get a little bit chesty, a bit wet in the chest, and it starts to come up through the throat. And so you mentioned elimination channels. So Lee-Ann, what can a person expect when detoxing a bacteria, for example, and it's in the chest? Where does it go from the chest typically?
Okay, so if you've got why would it even detox a bacteria? It's because you would have had an infection in the past. It might have been not dealt with very well, but suppressed. So the symptoms went, but the balance of bacteria in that organ is not very good. And so it stays there and it causes mischief. You always have that weak chest, or it can be tight or difficult to breathe. So when you start detoxing, the body gets a little bit more vitality. It's starting to feel good. It's getting the right nutrition. And then you'll get those old symptoms and you'll be like, oh, this is just like the pneumonia I had 4 years ago, but I don't feel sick. I just have this, I'm bringing up a lot of phlegm. And that would be a good sign. It's not a good sign if you start feeling really terrible and really exhausted and you're sort of going downhill like you're getting sick. But if you've got a bit of mucus coming up, that's fine. That's really good. That's the body literally trying to get it out.
To get it out, right? You want mucus to be coming out. I mean, how else is the body going to excrete it, right? If it's in the chest, it's got to come out through your mouth, most likely. We also notice. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Go. No, you go.
Oh, I was just going to say we were talking about this the other day, and you mentioned that sometimes people get really waxy ears.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Yes, we don't realize. So if you have a food allergy and your gut isn't working very well, or your elimination channel of the colon is not working very well, you might be a bit sluggish or constipated, you will find that you'll have a excess earwax. And very often that's related to a milk allergy or a grain allergy, something that you're eating in your diet, and your body starts using the ears as an elimination channel. When you cut those foods out of your diet, suddenly your ears go dry. Oh, wow, I've had lots of wax in my ears for years. And that's what it was about.
It's like every orifice in your body is designed to help expel just crap.
Yes, it is.
So, I mean, when I start people on a nutritional cleanse, quite often what you can expect is like you get a bit headachy. You know, sometimes you might even get a little bit mucousy in the sinuses. Sometimes you might even get a bit of a head cold. I've often had to recommend Nux vomica, homeopathic remedy for that one to help support the liver being congested, as you said. Sometimes an ear infection is something that has come up for somebody. They had an ear infection in the past, perhaps had antibiotics for it, didn't give the body a chance to actually deal with it, came up again. And so an old infection can be one. A cold sore is another thing. If the cold sore virus has been there, that can sometimes come up. And so one of the things that people can think is bad is getting sick, but actually getting sick is one of the sure signs that your body is in good health and it's able to deal with the crap that maybe it hadn't been able to deal with in the past. And so
it's healing, right? That's a sign of healing.
That's exactly what healing looks like. So sometimes when we decide, all right, we want to, you know, to lose weight and we want to get healthy, and then we feel like, oh, this is going to be awesome, and in, you know, XYZ months time I'm going to be, you know, thinner and beautifuler, and also feeling bloody fantastic. And that may very well be the case, but along the way there just is kind of an offload of crap that might come up there. Nadine, you've got a question that you've mentioned. Each time I try something different for at least 7 days, I still feel the same, if not worse. How can I fix this? Well, it'd be interesting to know, Nadine, what it is that you tried, because a lot of the time your body may not be nutritionally supported. So you allow your body access to your fat stores, but then when all the crap that comes out beelines it to the liver, your body is just not supported enough to be able to detoxify well, and so it can bring you down. So yeah, that is one. What is your take on it?
Well, I would also say that 7-day period, you're only just getting started.
Yeah, true that.
Right? You're going to start feeling a lot better after that 7-day period, maybe in 2 to 3 weeks even, but you'll slowly incrementally get better. But that first week in detoxing or beginning a new nutrition program can be not good. It can feel pretty as you begin to detox, and you know, and that's what I love about homeopathy, because it makes it easy. It makes it really easy. So so
really give the body support to push it out the way that your body wants to push it out, and therefore reduce the symptoms, right?
Absolutely. And emotions. Don't forget emotions.
Okay, so Lee-Ann, what do you often see in your, like, what would be the typical emotional response or responses that you'd see someone go through when they are having a bit of an emotional offload?
Grumpy. Really grumpy, right? Because that's the liver. The liver's the seat of anger in the body, and you know, it's struggling and you're grumpy and tired. But it can be anything. And when I was doing some really deep cleansing, and I was on a raw vegan diet I went hard out doing raw vegan. I did it over my Christmas holidays, and I would feel terribly grumpy, and you know, sometimes a bit teary. There'd be old thoughts that come to mind that had bothered me in the past from events. And then I'd be like that for 3 days. And then on the 4th day, I'd have this immense clearing of, not too much information, I'm not going to tell you what, and feel amazing. Feel amazing after that. And so I began to notice my little cycle of having these emotions come up. That could be teary. You might find that all of a sudden you're teary, and you can't stop crying.
Not that random, guys. It is you know, emotionally detoxing is, kids do it all the time. Actually, kids are brilliant at it because they don't really hold it in that well. You see a
Yeah.
kid have a good tanty, you see them have a good cry, and it's just, that's a classic example of that emotional offload. But as we're going through and looking at detox symptoms, don't disregard the emotional ones, because we know for a fact that when the liver's loaded, irritability shows up. Kidneys,
Absolutely.
tears,
Fear.
and hormone.
Yeah, and fear.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which can be tears or whatever.
Mm.
So anxiety, you might get really anxious because you aren't, because, for instance, if you stop eating what you're normally eating and you start feeding your body nutrition and healthy foods, say, for instance, you're not feeding that candida in your gut, and the candida is now beginning to die off, then in between that, you're going to get terrible cravings. And if you don't give in to these cravings, the candida will die. But in the meantime, it's like you're controlled by the candida. You'll be not only irritable, you can be teary, you can be full of rage, it can be all sorts of things going on. Give me that sugar, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
And and the other physical symptom that can show up there is like congested bowels and constipation and
Yes.
gassy, and so it's not all pretty. But it doesn't have to be that ugly. You can actually support the body real well through detox and have a much better experience than the way that we're describing it. And so what we recommend is nutritional cleansing and homeopathy. So let's spend a little bit of time on that. So we recommend nutritional cleansing because it's that whole system. So Lee-Ann mentioned before that unless the whole body is supported, it's just not cutting the mustard. And this coming up 8 years now is how long I've been in this nutrition space for, and I can tell you I've seen a lot of different products for detoxification, and actually there are a lot of products in their own right that are brilliant, that are fantastic. Do a lot of research and due diligence on these products, and in their own right, their ingredients are fantastic. But the problem is that when you come in to have XYZ problem addressed, it's not usually one product that is going to solve that problem. And so we're really looking for a holistic system that'll help support the body as a whole. Because now that we understand detoxification a little better, we know that we need to support not only from a nutrition perspective, eating X, Y, Z foods, but we need to make sure that the liver is supported, that the bowels are supported, that the kidneys are supported. We need to make sure that your body is actually getting what it needs so that it can function and fire on all 4 cylinders, because that's what's required for your body to be able to efficiently eliminate, and that's what we want it to be doing. So we really need a system where the liver supported macronutriently and micronutriently. I remember looking at just what the liver needed, just the liver, and it is a lot of nutrients. And like, we got to assume that when you look at the state that you've gotten to, where you're like, okay, finally I'm ready to do something about my health, my weight, the way that I feel. We're usually not thriving when we reach that point. We're usually feeling pretty damn stink when we get to that point. And so you got to assume that your body is on the back foot, right? That we're already starting in a negative rather than in surplus. And so nutrient depleted is often the place that we start from when we're wanting to make positive steps forward. So Lee-Ann, can you, without being product specific, can you give an idea about, a couple of your fave nutrients that you love? Because I know that when I come to you to take a look at products and ingredients, you've got to, aside from you, Lee-Ann, because you're my favorite, the homeopaths, guys, they've got to be like the most educated people in the health industry I've ever spoken to. Because they just really do. You guys, you really study more than just medicine. You actually are studying how the body works as a whole, holistically. And when you're looking at health as the outcome, and have the body perform as the outcome, you really got to know that. So, Lee-Ann, what are some key ingredients when you're looking at detox support?
Okay, so, well, there's a ton of them. There's lots and lots of them, but I'm just going to pick two, and look, I'm not a herbalist, but I'm going to pick a two very, well, maybe well known, maybe not so well known ingredients that often we include on the program, yeah. And the thing that the other way that the body needs support is immune function. Right? So, because if we're detoxing and we have bacteria, old bacteria coming up, old sore throats, whatever, pneumonia, or just the staphylococcus that's populated your gut too much, yeah, and you're full of rashes or whatever it is, or pimples on the face, right? That can cause acne on the face. Then you need that immune support too. So a good nutritional cleansing program will include the ingredients in it to give that your body that extra kind of oomph of immune support and making that thrive. And that's going to help you detox because the symptoms won't be so severe. So two of the ingredients that I picked today, and I've got my notes here, two of my ingredients that I picked today that I want to talk about is ashwagandha. And ashwagandha is, you might know it better as withania, and it's a herb. And I remember when I had a naturopath working for me, and we used to get really exhausted mummies in, and sometimes they'd be sitting there in the chair nearly in tears, and they weren't even there for themselves. You know, we're supposed to be treating the kids or whatever. And we'd just whip out a shot of withania for them and get them to have a shot in the clinic. And you'd see them do this. You'd see them sort of suddenly relax and then nearly slide off their chair, right? Because ashwagandha really supports the hormone balance. And when you think hormones, think cortisol production, and of course your adrenals and your fight or flight response. So you take withania and you go, and you feel like you're just cruising all day long. So ashwagandha is a really good herb to reduce stress. And when you're nutritionally cleansing and your body's doing all this, it can interpret that as stressful.
Right.
So also the other thing is ashwagandha is a great herb to support the brain function. So, you know, when you are doing a typical cleanse, you might feel a bit foggy and hard to concentrate. And quite honestly, unless you go to a retreat, we don't get the time to do that these days, you know. So we have to stay on it at work. So it helps keep you sharp, and it limits your anxiety, and it will help increase your energy. And actually ashwagandha has been shown in some studies to really protect the nervous system, so which means, you know, think nervous system, think brain. So it actually may help protect oxidative stress on the nervous system.
And if all those things be happening while we're cleansing, then there's much more of a likelihood for you to stay on track when you feel good. I mean, how many of you guys can relate to dieting and just feeling like total ass, right? And then how much do you want to stay doing that, right? But if you can actually have your body supported and you can diet and feel good, so like you're getting results and you're able to power through a day, like how much more likely is it that you're going to want to stay on that buzz, right?
Absolutely right.
All right, what's the other ingredient?
Well, just on that, just to finish off, because you made me think of something. Let's say we have got heavy metals that we're storing in the nervous system, and suddenly we become extremely constipated. That could be while we're detoxing, while we're nutritional cleansing. That might be it might be that candida dying off, or worms dying off, or whatever, and it's beginning to, you just get a bit sluggish there. But it can also be heavy metals being released from the nervous system and being flushed out, and suddenly they're hitting the colon and they're causing constipation and sluggishness. So whereas if you've got ingredients like the ashwagandha that's helping to protect the nervous system and helping to support that nervous system function, you're going to find that the detox symptoms are just easier, right? So that's another way that shows up really commonly in my clinic. Okay, so the other ingredient is chaga. Now in New Zealand we don't get chaga. Chaga is a mushroom. You're very lucky, you might find it in some really hippie health food shops or raw food shops, and you'll find it in the mushroom teas. And chaga is called the king of mushrooms. And
the one I was telling you about. I see that you're up there.
Yeah, king of mushrooms. And it's very, so on the mushroom chain, it's really high up. It grows out of birchwood, and it often grows in places like Canada naturally. And you'll see it sticking out of the tree in a great big flat round, dark brown. And you pick it and you dry it in the sun, and then you can powder it up and use it as teas or superfood.
Right.
And because it's the king of mushrooms, the king of fungi, it kills all other fungi in the chain. So candida is a really low form of fungi, and
Right.
chaga is a really great way to support the digestive system, kill off that candida, help to bring it into balance and soothe it. But the other amazing thing about chaga is it's one of the highest foods with an antioxidant rating, the highest ORAC rating. And you know, foods like blueberry are high, foods like
Right.
raw
But we
cacao,
hear that all the time.
yes, even
Yeah.
higher. So raw cacao is massively high.
Yeah.
But chaga is even higher again. So if you want your shot of goodness, then you want to be having chaga. Unfortunately, they won't allow us to grow it here. Otherwise, I'd be growing it. Because the pine growing industry, the pine, you know, they grow pine for export. They're too worried it's going to destroy the forest. So
Right.
unfortunately, we can't get it here. You have to have it in tea. Now, if you are buying a chaga tea, you do not want to be making it with boiling water. You're going to kill off all the goodness. So you'd stop your kettle well before
And
it
that's actually
boils.
pretty standard for all teas, hey? Like,
Yeah.
any the goodness that comes in those herbal teas, you definitely don't want to be boiling. I remember learning that from a bit of a tea connoisseur friend that I had for a time. Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
some of the other good things about chaga is it's very, well, it's abundant in beta D glucans, which basically helps support the immune system. So again, it's going to support the immune system. And actually, it doesn't just support it. Chaga balances the immune function. So if it's overactive and hyperactive, think allergies, it's going to settle that down. If it is underactive, it's going to bring that up and help give it the boost that it needs. So I mean, just so cool. So cool.
I mean, there's so many benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah, Natasha, neither did I for ages. I just think of all the wasted cups of teas that I had.
Don't boil it. Don't bring it to
Yeah,
boiling and then leave it to
yeah,
sit.
yeah.
Stop it before it's boiling. And you can, I got off Flybuys a jug that has 4 temperature controls. And so the lowest one is 70 degrees, and I just heat it up to that. And that's beautiful for keeping things a little bit raw.
Lee-Ann, we just went next level on the Dorcas scale.
my temperature control tea kettle. Oh, it's the best thing ever.
Sorry,
I love it.
but we just went to the next level.
I told you, I really went into that raw vegan stuff really
You really
deep.
did. You really did. Okay, guys, so you can see that there's like so many benefits to all these nutrients. And so can you imagine if she just listed off too, like how much the body needs to get those nutrients. And so when you're making a decision to get your body on the up, doing a nutritional cleanse can often be a really, really good start. Or if you've already started, it can be a real good thing to get you moving forward quicker, to like give you a bit of a what do you call it, a boot up if you feel like you've hit a bit of a plateau. Okay, so some of the things that we're looking for in a real good nutritional cleanse is, of course, there's got to be that calorie deficit, because you need to allow your body to get access to your fat stores. But at the same time, because you've got that calorie deficit, we want to make sure that you are nutriented to the maximum. Okay, so Lee-Ann and I are extremely picky about what we would do for a nutritional cleanse, right? For this very reason, because as soon as you start to enter into that calorie deficit, you've got to make sure that you're not in a nutrient deficit. You need to be in nutrient surplus, and that's what makes nutritional cleansing different from just traditionally dieting. When you traditionally diet and you use exercise and calorie deficits, eating less, you are eating already like a nutrient moderate diet, and then when you create that calorie deficit, you're lowering the nutrients again, which yes gives you that caloric deficit, but it also will give you a greater nutrient deficit. So you've got to understand that difference between traditional methods and using a nutritional cleanse as a tool or a strategy to implement. Got to make sure that the thyroid and therefore your metabolism is supported. Gut health is supported because elimination and through your stool is a primary exit path for your body to eliminate. Macro and micronutriently, your liver needs to be supported. And then, as Lee-Ann's already gone into awesomely, your immune system needs to be supported. So, from a nutritional cleansing standpoint, it's a total winner. Homeopathy. How does homeopathy support detox? Because this is the other thing. I mean, Lee-Ann's a homeopath, so obviously she's a fan. But man, when homeopathy came into my life, it was a total game changer. So, Lee-Ann, how does homeopathy support detox? I know that's a big question, but can we chunk it down into like maybe one or 2 points?
Yes. Okay. So if you are detoxing, so there's 2 ways. We can just give you over-the-counter organ supports, things like remedies that are really, we know they've got a high affinity to the liver. And depending on the symptoms that you're feeling with the organ support, if I give a good remedy in the clinic and they come back and they go, oh, just above my lower back is sore, I'm like, oh, they need a kidney support. They're having trouble eliminating the toxins that now the body's wanting to get rid of. So, if you weren't nux vomica, but you were achy over around the kidney area, you might need a kidney elimination or kind of support. So remedies in homeopathy that support that, and generally they tend to be lower potency, and you can take them daily or a couple of times a day to really support the organ to drain and eliminate toxins, and to function properly.
Can I just ask you one thing? There's a difference between a headache and a migraine.
Yes.
Right. And so with headachy symptoms, what is that typically from? And with migraine symptoms, what is that typically like? How would you address the 2?
Well, on detoxing?
Because migraines can sometimes be something that gets triggered, and then what do you do?
Okay. So if the migraine is getting triggered, a migraine would generally be there before you went cleansing. Like it'll be a chronic condition that's been sitting in the background for a long time. And so very often in my clinic, when someone comes in for migraine treatment, we have to start, often the liver remedies are really useful, and the liver kidney remedies are useful, but also hormone remedies. And you've just been talking about how when you detox, hormones get released and the liver gets congested. So you can imagine all their weak points get hit and the migraine comes on. So that I wouldn't even do anything for the migraine. I'd get them to come in and have a constitutional treatment. You'd need to go to a homeopath and have a proper 1.5 hour long consult and be managed through it.
Right, and the chronic condition is something that's underlying, that's deep-seated. So it's not something that can be treated acutely, say like a headache, as an example, is something that's got to be dealt with on that. Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to make that difference, because there were about 2 people who were sensitive to, their pre-existing condition was migraines, and so I thought that might be a good one to bring up. What about
sorry?
What about bowel support with homeopathy?
Bowel support. Yeah. So bowel support in homeopathy is, again, a lot of the liver remedies. When I talk liver remedies, I'm also meaning they influence the digestion. They are often very, very helpful. But again, the bowel support, recently had someone that I ended up giving mercury for. So Merxol in homeopathy. And I think that they may have been releasing heavy metals, and everything was just literally piling up.
Yeah.
For instance,
by the way, if you guys, for those of you who just caught that, she didn't actually give them mercury. Just realize how that sounds, because that would be poison.
Yes, that would be.
Yeah, in homeopathic form, it's different. It helps the body to eliminate mercury. Just thought we'd clear that one up and go.
Yeah. Okay, so Merxol is the homeopathic remedy made from mercury. So we would give that to support someone who might be detoxing mercury or may show symptoms of mercury poisoning, really.
Taste of the mouth. Some people were mentioning that they had, and that you mentioned could be mercury coming up.
Yeah, going back to years ago when I was on that raw vegan diet, I think I mentioned this before, my scalp became spongy and inflamed. I could push it down and it sunk in by about that much, and mercury was what I needed. I mean, that's phenomenal to me. So the other one you might see, say, for bowel support, and if it was heavy metal related, and you've got amalgams, or your mum had lots of dental amalgams, aluminium in homeopathy, the picture of aluminium when someone needs it, they're very sluggish. their stools will be balls, and they'll roll down there very slowly. So that's could be something like that that's being released. So again, you might need a bit more constitutional treatment, a little bit deeper support. But there are also remedies. Yeah, it depends. Like if your bacterial balance is just out because you've had a whole load of antibiotics, even way in the past, then you might need some bowel bacteria support in homeopathy. We have all the bowel nosodes, etc.
Okay. I also thought I'd throw in there that the emotional symptoms that we talked about before, so irritability, you can also, I was just reminded of one of my friends had a baby recently, and then like she got quite congested after she had her baby, and so we flicked her a bit of the Nux vomica, knowing that that was a typical remedy for irritability, which helped her heaps. And not long after that, she threw a this position that we're in with being hunched over, breastfeeding, and she was getting a really, really sore back, and she'd also had something viral before that her body must have been trying to push out. And so I remembered a remedy for the neck, ruse, and gave that, which gave her that relief immediately. And then not long after that, she had an emotional offload, and I knew that one with the echinacea, and that was like a rescue remedy for her, and that helped her heaps. And she literally just moved from one to the other, and it just so happened that through just the experience, since I've known you, getting familiar with these different remedies, I was able to go, yep, I know which one that you need. And I was able to see her body respond to physical support with homeopathy, but also emotional support with homeopathy. And so sometimes just having something that can help your body to move through the symptoms just makes detoxing that whole, like, it makes the experience of detox just much easier to go through, right? And then we can be much more willing to view these symptoms as something positive, which they are, as opposed to the horrible and negative associations we have to these symptoms.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's interesting that you say that about the Nux vomica not long after birth. That's what you said, eh? Well, Nux vomica, the inner essence of Nux vomica is I'm shattered by shock. And I don't know, if you've given birth, it can be a bit shattering.
Just a bit?
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, I think we've probably talked your ears off quite enough for one night. Just want to give you a virtual high five for showing up tonight and just taking that step a little bit further into educating yourselves on the process. And thanks, Lee-Ann, for your time, far out, always just incredible value that you're able to share. Guys, I want to just invite you, if you are interested, to learn more and to go down this road further. I'm doing a promotion on my Gen Health coaching program at the moment. Literally, it's like $1, $1 for the first month. So just get a look in at how it is that we help you to move through this time of wanting to get healthy, lean out, lose weight, get on top, like get your body back, get your life back, get your energy back, right? Just actually feel like I was going to say like a human being, but I think as a whole, humans don't really feel that awesome all the time. So maybe feel like a superhero. Just feel way better than average. And I know that it can be a bit of a minefield just trying to, figure out what step you should take next and what product you should use next and who should you talk to and which health professional shall I see. And so that's really why Lee-Ann and I do these, so that you guys can, just have a little bit of a taste. So if you like what you hear and you want to know more, I'm going to invite you to check out the Gen Health coaching program. For $1, come in and take a look in, see if you like it. If you don't, no worries at all. If you do, then I'm sure you're going to have a fantastic experience with us. So I will post the details and the link. But if you want to get there right now, it's www.genhealthcoachingprogram.com, genhealthcoachingprogram.com, and I will put the link up when we are done. So guys,
great.
Have a great night. Have a fantastic one and enjoy the rest of your week. Lee-Ann.
Thank you so much. Always fun.
Always.
And I would highly recommend, hey, I see the results that you get with your clients all the time when they turn up in my clinic. Amazing, amazing seeing their process. So, you know, you just so know what you're doing, Tarryn.
Oh, thanks, Lee-Ann. It's been so great working with you. For me, but
yeah.
for me, because of my clients.
Well, you know, I think if anyone's listening, definitely take up that offer. It's amazing.
All right, have a fantastic night, and I'll catch you all soon.
Okay, bye.